No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
And here we go. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and I'm glad that you have joined me. I have to admit something to you, though. I am recording this at about 8 o'clock at night. I was so busy starting from when I woke up until now. I just finished with my last client. And I'm late. I mean, I am really late. Normally, I have this out by 8 a.m., I recorded it at 5 a.m., out by 8 a.m. Today, I'm sorry, I got up at the 5 a.m. time, but I didn't get to record this podcast until 7:49 as I'm looking at my clock on the computer. I had a conversation today with this individual on Instagram, and we didn't have an argument. We just had a conversation. And it was about equity. It was about all these new words that are being used by politicians to make it sound like they're giving you something, but really they're not. And so this morning I was reading an article, and it was about Joe Biden and his equity and his Biden's radical equity agenda is really what it was called. The federal court handed him a blow. And, he's been pushing this. But unfortunately, what the federal court saw is that it wasn't equal. It wasn't equal at all. Because some people got preferential treatment and others did not. So the so-called equity agenda that he started his political campaign on, it suffered a major defeat in federal court. In a lawsuit challenging the Minority Business Development Agency, MBDA, which I didn't even know we had, a new federal agency. It's a brand new federal agency dedicated to helping only certain preferred racial groups. A federal judge ruled that the Biden administration cannot discriminate based on race. Judge Mark Pittman in Fort Worth, federal judge, delivered a remedial lesson in civics to the administration. The Constitution depends equal treatment under the law. So my conversation today was with this individual, and he was upset because I said that the company that he worked for, or that he knew of, not quite sure if he worked for it or knew it, but he was defending the company that we were talking about because I had told him that is a woke premise. And he went off onto this long tangent. And I had to point out to him, I said, what has happened is that so many companies under this ESG program have developed all these words to make it sound like it's something, but it's not. It's for one group of people, not for the whole, not for equally distributed. And so I had to point out that, the federal judge came down on the side of Americans in the Constitution instead of this radical agenda that Biden has called his radical agenda of equity. This equity is thrown around all the time, making it sound as if it's giving something to everybody, but it's only giving it to a certain portion of individuals in the United States. So the judge really said the Constitution depends equal treatment under the law. While this statement should be obvious to you and I, because that's how we look at the Constitution, that it is supposed to be equal. Unfortunately, Biden doesn't think that it should be equal. He thinks it should be certain groups of our population that should only get it, that should be given it more than others. On his first day in office, Biden declared a whole-of-government approach to racial equity, requiring all his agencies to affirmatively, some words, right? Advance equity. And practice the equity agenda resulted in a bevy of programs open to some races, but not others. Farmers, restaurant owners, homeowners, small business owners, and federal contractors all got billions of federal tax dollars so long as they belonged to a certain racial group. And the judge said, no, you can't do that. The MBDA is the cornerstone of this equity agenda, which is a brand new thing that Biden set out to do. Created as a permanent federal agency as part of the Infrastructure Act. Does that sound like infrastructure to you? No. Sounds like discrimination to me. The MDA is designed to help certain minority business owners with grants, training, consulting, government contracts, and other benefits to juice up their bottom lines. The only problem is, you see, it's only for a certain person. It's not for you. It's not for me. It's for anybody who is considered to be in this racial group. That is discrimination. That is not equity. That is not right, to tell the truth. So the federal court said, no, sorry, you cannot do that. You cannot only give it to a certain portion of America and not offer it to the rest of America. It was a good ruling because it was in line with the Constitution. And so many times what happens is that we get away from the Constitution because we have this political agenda. And this political agenda is not kosher. It's not fair. It's not equal. Remember, the Constitution, we're all equal. We're all equal. We're all playing at the same field. And people are going to come back and say, oh, but we're not. Oh, yes, you are. How many of these billionaires that we see now are in various racial groups? It's just not white. It's various types of racial groups all around this great country of ours. That's what's so great about our country. Anybody can do whatever they want to as long as they think about it and not moan about it. If you're thinking about it, you'll get it done. But if you're going to moan about it, you're going to not get anything done and get advanced. So luckily, we had a federal judge that said, okay, we have to look at this group that it has to be in line with the Constitution of the United States. Now, as we look at what's happening with Hunter Biden and all this other stuff, and if it was us, we would probably be in jail for what Hunter Biden did. So is that equal? Well, unfortunately, that's not equal either. So see, the problem is that politics has gone in one direction, and it has corrupted the legal side of our country. Businesses have become political. They're pushing these social agendas of ESG and everything else. Even Christian institutions, Christian hospitals have also jumped on this bandwagon of being woke. And instead of helping people, this political word equity is not helping people. It's not equal. It's not within the boundaries of the Constitution where it says we are all equal. Oh, my goodness, I tell you, we can go on and on about this. In fact, in my last two books that I've done, I have talked about wokeness in business, wokeness in churches, wokeness in schools, wokeness in our homes. I hope you go to the link down below and see the books that I have out there. I tell you, sometimes I become frustrated because I don't think there should ever be political. Because if you look at the equality of our laws, where we have the equal opportunity clause in our laws, where we have the discrimination protection, we have everything there that already covers these words, equity. Equity is not, it's nothing. It's just a political word that's being tossed around. That's what happens in socialist societies. They choose certain words to make you think that you're getting something, but in actuality, you're hurting a whole bunch of other people. And you're really not getting anything. It's a sad situation. I was thinking also, people have been so worried about China becoming the dominance in currency and dominance in business and everything. But if you look at it, a lot of companies in the European Union are pulling out. They're pulling out of the China. They're pulling out of China because they don't have the confidence in the government of China. You see, communism has this dirty laundry that they have to work on. And they had a current law that was a spying law that they could come in and look at companies and spy on them and everything else. And so companies said, we're not going to do that. So we're moving out. We're going to leave this country. And we cannot trust it any longer. So in Beijing, foreign companies are shifting investments in their Asian headquarters out of China as confidence plunges following the expansion of an anti-spying law and other challenges, a business group said Wednesday. The report of the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China adds is one of many signs of growing pessimism despite the ruling Communist Party's efforts to revive interest in the world's number 2 economy following the end of the antivirus controls. The companies are uneasy about security controls, government protection of their Chinese rivals, and a lack of action on reform premises. So, in other words, they just don't trust China. Kind of like America, right? We don't trust China. But unfortunately, I think that China, they go off in one direction almighty and that they really are going to become a leader, but then they shoot themselves in the foot by all their little regulations and laws that scare open free market companies because they don't want to be hinged in or shut down or raided by the Communist Party or the police in the communist country. I think we have to watch that very carefully because they are a tricky wicket there in China, and we have to watch them, and we have to listen to what they're saying because what they're saying is probably opposite of what they're doing. Listen, if you would like to, excuse me, it's a long day. If you would like to send me a business question, send it to thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. And if you would also like to have a time with me of coaching or advisory on business, you can go to my website at www.lodge-co.com. It's in the link down below. And also the source of my books are down below. Everybody have a great day. Let's end this day with just a little bit of jazz. That's all I ask. Just a little bit of jazz. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.